What if I tell you the man who makes millions laugh today once cried alone, sleeping inside his car with no food, no money, and no future in sight? This is not a success story. This is a survival story. This is Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey was born on January 17, 1957, in Welch, West Virginia, a small coal mining town where life was tough and opportunities were rare. His father worked deep underground as a coal miner, a job that demanded strength but offered little comfort. Steve watched his father leave home exhausted every day, silently carrying the weight of survival. The Harvey family lived a modest life, often struggling to make ends meet. There were no luxuries, no shortcuts, and no guarantees of a better future. As a child, Steve suffered from a severe stutter. Speaking in public terrified him. Classmates mocked him and teachers underestimated him. Every laugh aimed at him slowly carved insecurity into his confidence. However, even in those painful moments, something powerful was forming inside him. Steve began learning how to observe people, understand emotions, and read rooms, skills that would later define his greatness. But at that time, all he felt was embarrassment and fear. But childhood pain was only the first chapter of his test. After finishing school, Steve Harvey entered adulthood with dreams, but without direction. Like many young men searching for purpose, he tried multiple careers, hoping one of them would finally feel right. He worked as a boxer, an insurance salesman, a mailman, a carpet cleaner, and even a delivery driver. Each job paid bills, but none fed his soul. With every failed attempt, the voice of doubt grew louder. People around him questioned his decisions and mocked his ambition, often reminding him that dreams do not pay rent. Family members urged him to choose stability over passion, warning him that comedy was risky and unrealistic. But something inside Steve refused to accept an ordinary life. Deep down, he knew he was meant for something more, even though he could not yet see how or when it would happen. And then came the night that nearly ended everything. In 1985, Steve Harvey finally stepped onto a comedy stage for the first time, believing this was his moment to shine. He had 5 minutes to prove himself, 5 minutes to validate years of dreaming. But as soon as he began speaking, his mind went blank. His jokes disappeared. The crowd remained silent. Those 5 minutes felt like an eternity. Instead of laughter, he faced rejection. Instead of applause, he walked off stage in humiliation. That night, Steve cried alone, not because he failed, but because he realized how deeply comedy mattered to him. Rather than quitting, he made a promise to himself. If he was going to fail, he would fail trying harder than anyone else. But failure was about to introduce him to his darkest chapter. In 1987, Steve Harvey hit rock bottom. He was broke, exhausted, and homeless. With no money to afford rent, he began sleeping in his car. Nights were cold, lonely, and filled with fear. Showers came from gas station bathrooms, and meals depended on spare change. Yet even in that condition, Steve never stopped believing. Every night, he wrote jokes, rehearsed speeches, and prayed with unwavering faith. He once said that those years tested not his talent, but his commitment. Anyone can dream when life is comfortable, but only believers persist when everything is taken away. Homelessness did not break Steve Harvey, it sharpened him. And just when he had nothing left, life changed forever. In 1990, Steve Harvey won the Johnny Walker National Comedy Search, a victory that opened doors he had been knocking on for years. Television offers followed, and soon he became a recognizable face on national screens. From Showtime at the Apollo to The Steve Harvey Show, his talent finally found its audience. The man once ignored and dismissed was now celebrated and respected. His struggles had shaped his humor, making it real, relatable, and unforgettable. Success had arrived, but with it came new challenges, because success tests character just as much as failure. As success entered Steve Harvey's life, it brought comfort, recognition, and money, but it also invited something far more dangerous: ego. Steve had fought too long and too hard, and slowly, without realizing it, he began to believe that success came only from himself. Gratitude faded, humility weakened, and relationships started to suffer. His marriages struggled under the weight of fame and poor decisions. Personal failures became public discussions, and criticism followed him everywhere he went. Steve later admitted that during this phase, he was winning professionally, but losing personally. The applause was loud, yet the silence at home was even louder. Life had lifted him up, but now it was preparing to remind him that success without character is temporary. And just when he thought he had seen his worst days, destiny tested him again, in front of the entire world. In 2015, Steve Harvey stood on the global stage hosting the Miss Universe pageant, watched by millions around the world. In a moment that would redefine his career, he announced the wrong winner live on international television. The mistake went viral within minutes. Social media exploded, memes spread, headlines mocked him relentlessly. For a man who had spent his life escaping embarrassment, this moment felt devastating. Steve later described it as one of the most painful public humiliations of his life. But instead of running from the mistake, Steve chose accountability. He walked back onto the stage, apologized publicly, and accepted responsibility without excuses. That single decision transformed criticism into respect. That moment did not destroy him, it rebuilt him. After years of ups and downs, Steve Harvey entered the most powerful phase of his career: reinvention. When he became the host of Family Feud, he brought something different. He didn't just read questions, he reacted honestly, laughed freely, and showed genuine emotion. Audiences connected instantly. His expressions went viral. His authenticity turned a traditional game show into a cultural phenomenon. Steve was no longer just a comedian. He became a household name across generations and continents. This time, success came with wisdom. He understood that longevity is built not on perfection, but on authenticity. Steve Harvey began sharing more than jokes. He began sharing lessons. Through books like Think Like a Man, Jump, and Act Like a Success, he spoke openly about fear, faith, discipline, and responsibility. He taught that faith is not believing without action, but acting while believing. According to Steve, comfort is the enemy of growth, and risk is the price of destiny. He openly spoke about God, purpose, and perseverance, reminding millions that success without alignment leads to emptiness. For the first time, people didn't just laugh with Steve Harvey, they learned from him. And then came the question that defined his legacy: what do you leave behind? Today, Steve Harvey is more than a television personality. He is a symbol of resilience, faith, and transformation. Through mentorship programs, scholarships, and youth initiatives, Steve dedicates his success to lifting others who once stood where he did. He often says that your past does not disqualify you from a powerful future. Your mistakes do not erase your purpose. Your delays do not cancel your destiny. Steve Harvey's life proves that rock bottom can become a foundation, not a grave.
His journey reminds us that legends are not born gifted, they are built through pain, patience, and persistence. If God placed a dream in your heart, He already placed the ability to achieve it.
Steve Harvey's story proves that pain is not punishment, but preparation. From sleeping in a car to standing on global stages, his journey reminds us that faith combined with persistence can rewrite destiny. This is Empire of Legends, where ordinary lives turn into extraordinary legacies. Subscribe because the next legend may inspire your own breakthrough.